Marie-Christine in our pop-up studio today. Marie-Christine, please introduce yourself and your company.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. So I'm Marie-Christine. A lot of people know me by MC, just because that name is way too long. And in terms of where I work at a tech company called The Trade Desk. We just recently opened our offices here in Dubai, but we are a global company. And I'm the commercial director.
So maybe you would give us a little more background in terms of what your company is doing, because I know you guys are probably doing a lot more podcast advertising nowadays than anybody I have interviewed today. So I'm looking forward to get those insights out.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe for people that don't know who we are an online DSP on the buy side, but essentially we are fully omni-channel in terms of the solutions we offer. So we don't just offer audio, but we also do display, video, digital out of home, connected TV. So for our big brands, multinational brands, and also our local brands who want to run a full funnel and omni-channel activity, they have this one-stop shop solution via the Trade Desk platform. And audios and particularly podcasts is now becoming more and more in demand in terms of getting new reach and access to new users.
That's interesting. So that's interesting to hear, because omnichannel is great, but we are trying to understand today, like we're trying to generate one message of what, for example, what kind of benefits and what kind of opportunities an audio sale or podcasting is giving to media buyers in the era we're living in. Does it give any extra benefits versus, let's say, traditional media solutions?
Yes, absolutely. I would say the engagement that users have in podcasting in particular, I think we're all aware of the traffic that we're stuck in Dubai. And me personally, I listen to podcasts while I'm stuck in traffic, while I'm in the gym. And the truth is, users are at different touch points throughout their journey and throughout their day. And podcasting is a massive part of everybody's lives. And we all listen to so many different types. And having that available now programmatically means we can target the right user in that right environment. And that's definitely why we feel that, podcasting or audio as a channel should be incorporated into, how we target users, but also to make sure that the advertising is relevant to the listeners as well.
And from performance perspective, and let's say from, the way the ad might be integrated into podcasting, so versus traditional media, maybe so you as a person who is responsible to position or to place an ad in the most efficient way, right? And you've been doing it probably with traditional channels, and now you've got audio and you've got podcasting. Has it made your life easier from efficiency perspective?
Yes. Well, it probably hasn't made my personal life easier. It makes it easier and makes me happy to see my clients seeing it being activated in a more streamlined and efficient way. So for the advertiser, I would definitely say, historically how they would transact would have been on an insertion order basis or like a managed service. And they would have to reach out individually to each of the digital radio stations or the podcasters. And it would be a very tiresome manual process. Being able to now digitize that, where a lot of these podcasters, digital radio stations have come, to allow this to be programmatically available, means it's much more efficient, much more targeted, also cost savings, because you're being much more streamlined in how you approach it. And I would say the targeting capabilities and the transparency of reporting overall has benefited it. And I would say that also the inventory, now true programmatic versus traditional. Traditional didn't have that much scale or that many accessibility, whereas now programmatic, the more digitization on board, the more scale we have. So they can have this one-stop solution across all various podcasting channels.
So you've mentioned you're listening quite a bit of podcasts, right? And it's interesting to hear, for example, formats, what themes, what podcasts do you consume? This is question number one. And probably following that, does it impact the way you create campaigns for your clients?
Yes. So personally, I do listen to so many different types of podcasts. I think everybody listens to Joe Rogan as you know, as a default. So from time to time, if it's somebody interesting, I would listen to that. But you know, I'm also really into wellness, spiritual healing, or skincare, or you know, stuff like that. And for me, that's relaxing to listen to while I'm in my journey, and it's completely different to what I do on a day-to-day basis. So. Yeah, and the second question in terms of does that impact my clients, or when I'm potentially proposing what kind of strategy, it's always really important for the brand to align with the type of podcasting. So example, like I mentioned, I love wellness or beauty or skincare. That would mean whenever I am strategizing with certain clients, whether that be L'Oreal or LVMH and different products within those spaces, I want to make sure that the content is relevant to the podcast series. And again, programmatic allows you to be able to curate that much more targeted, much more effectively. And then it's obviously, you know, the traditional approach was a lot of a spray and pray. Programmatic helps all of that reporting, transparency, and efficiency. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think, you know, the way we position ads within podcasts directly linked, let's say, so you've got a topic, you've got a podcasting about beauty, which means you're necessarily bringing, you know, some cosmetics brands as an advertising into that podcasting, or are there more flexible, more creative ways how to integrate it in a less salesy?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this can be curated, you know, when you are strategizing the activity. There's a lot more subtle ways or a lot more targeted ways that you can advertise. But again, it depends on the brief and the client's needs. So if you want it to be a little bit more subtle, you can ensure that the client can have the podcasting advertising done, you know, within their talk series or before their talk series. Also, it could be styled in a way where they're discussing it. Essentially, it depends on the client. We have so many different various ways that you can insert your ads, or where they're positioned at what time, to ensure it's not invasive or intrusive, and it comes across much more seamlessly.
What do you think from, let's say, from the content and ecosystem perspective in general in Dubai and the UAE, probably Middle East, if we're looking at a sort of a bit of a broader circle, is there enough creative content and podcasts where you can place your ads, or how is that moving?
Yep. So again, talking from a technology space, I would say no, there isn't. Mm-hmm. There definitely is a lot. But I think Luca Alam had a great talk today, and the theme of what he was discussing was bravery. And I think what we need from, there's so many great content and there's so many great podcasters, but they need to make money. Yeah. And I believe that it's on the advertisers and myself, you know, to continue to educate this industry that there are amazing podcasters available out there, and it is going to get you the right audience, the right engagement. And yeah, essentially there needs to be a lot more bravery, I believe, on the buy side to support and innovate the region, especially for podcasters that are being so brave. But it needs to come back on the other side too in order for it to come together.
I think it's also the bravery from both sides, right? Because I'm on the creative side, right? I'm creating podcasts and interviews as well, and I'm always interested to hear from, let's say, from the tech perspective, and from advertisers' perspective, what would make them feel more brave, more comfortable? Exactly. Is this a topic? Is this a host? Is this the consistency? What do you think should happen for this to work and evolve in the most successful way for the region?
Yeah. Again, from a ad tech standpoint, I think it's giving the advertisers or the brands, I should say, the confidence that, you know, they are going to see results. And also sometimes they need to understand that you're testing and trialing a new space. So instead of always doing the same thing, try something new, and you have all the reporting, transparency, grains and metrics that you could ever want. Traditionally, you never had that. When you used to run on an IO basis, it was a black box. The fact that now you have so much analytics and data, you can actually be more efficient and you can learn more. And then again, on the content side, you can start to figure out what kind of content, what kind of podcasters align with your brand. And yeah, we now have the facilities to do that, but again, back to the bravery, we just need to start testing more and identifying that sweet spot for your brand.
What are the core objections from the media buyers currently when it comes to podcasting?
So a lot of podcasting from the demands of the advertisers or the brands, they're very ROI based. So they want to make sure that everything comes back to a sale or tracks to a return on investment. There's a lot of they're very scared. They want to know where every dollar is spent. And of course, programmatic has a facility to do that. But it's not going to happen straight away. Just like a podcaster starting, they're not going to get all the views and all the hits, and they're not going to be like famous or like Joe Rogan. So it takes time. And that bravery needs to, take 2 to 3 months, reassess, continue to learn, optimize and iterate on your strategy. I would say definitely my advice would be to trial and test, and you will see those ROI results. But just learn that it does take time.
Yeah, it takes time, and there's a bit of a trust, and there's probably, as Fally mentioned during the discussion with Luca, so allocate some of your budget for this to test and to try annually, and you will see the results and you will have the feeling of how it works. Yeah, that's amazing. What do you see? Where do you see the future of podcasting, podcast advertising?
Yeah.
Where do you see the future?
So I'm really excited to have just moved to Dubai in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
So I, for people that don't know me, I lived in London. I worked at the same company for now 5 years.
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of this podcasting channels being, added to a lot of our media plans with our clients. Here in the MENA region, when I look at media plans, you usually just see 2 or 3 players. And I'm really looking forward to, and I can already see today, and with the encouragement of so many people discussing the innovation, I'm looking forward to seeing the MENA region starting to adapt and include podcasting within their audio and just diversifying their budget to allow for more experimentation in audio and podcast inventory, because we have done it with 2 or 3 brave advertisers and they have seen results.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that being more innovative here in the region.
If you compare the 2 regions, the UK and let's say the UAE, are advertisers braver there in the UK, or so we're kind of in the same kind of dynamics?
It's a really, really good question. I would say it's not that they're braver. I would say it's more that the technology or the advancements in the capabilities are probably a little bit more advanced in the UK. However, saying that, thanks to Next Media Broadcast and technologies like that have now established themselves here, including the trade desk, we're now combining ourselves together. And one thing I would say about the UAE is, we are very adaptable and we are really agile. And like I said, back to that bravery, all we need now is people to test. We actually have brought the technologies here. So, the answer is definitely, it's the technology more than the bravery.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And thank you very much for for this insightful conversation. I really think you've shared things about podcast advertising that will be very valuable for the region, and encourage other advertisers to get into the game.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.